Welcome to the Outside the Business Boxes podcast, where we're talking about how to ignite your business today for the future using systems for everything you do in your business to make your life, your employees' lives, and your customers' lives easier for you to ultimately enjoy your business and, of course, make more money. I'm your host, Chad Murray.
Welcome to Outside the Business Box podcast. I am Chad Murray, your host. Thank you for coming to my podcast again. I'm starting to get a little traction out there. I appreciate every one of you listeners listening, and I really pray and hope that you're gaining something from me that maybe you're not finding somewhere else, or a new perspective on something that you either don't know about, or maybe I just have something a little different than a little flavor. Maybe I'm a little more chocolate than you're used to, but or sherbet. I'm a mix of colors. So hopefully, what I'm going to talk about today will get to you a little bit. And I want to talk about one of the most boring subjects, but really, I think something so needed to be talked about and so to understand is employment law. I've had my attorney on before about employment law. I know some people that I coach, have some issues with the way they pay people, the way, subs and all this stuff. So I am going to premise what I'm going to talk about in this. I am not an attorney. You must contact your attorney that's in your state to understand your laws and stuff. But I can talk about federal stuff, and I can talk about some of my own experiences and what I've had to learn the hard way, and some things I learned the easy way. But here we go. I want you to understand right now, the biggest misconception on paying people is, well, I learned from someone else or who I used to work for. That does not make it correct. As a matter of fact, more than likely they're paying them wrong, and you've adopted a pretty shitty way to pay people already. Because why? Because you are an entrepreneur, and what are you doing? You're trying to make it right for them so that they'll stay. Well, the fact of the matter is that is what gets you in trouble. When you start looking at your employees and how you're going to pay them, you're always thinking of them and not as much for you. And the fact of the matter is, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but what I am saying is where to go to find out how you should pay. You got your local stuff, your statewide stuff. Of course, if you're in California, you're in a whacked out state that you're going to have to know their laws. If you're in Texas, you pretty much just follow the federal. So, and then there's all in between. It really does kind of depend if you're a red state or a blue state, and what their employment laws are. So you really want to know what your state laws are. But I'm going to concentrate on federal today, and I'm going to read you some stuff. I'm going to have you understand. But I need you to know this. Everybody's always developing, when they first start, a system that works for them, that works better for the employees, to try to maintain and keep a good culture. And what you're doing is you're doing it wrong. And when you're doing it wrong, eventually, as you scale your business, it's bad. And then when you don't scale your business, you still have a bad experience with someone that quits, or something else, or they report you. And now you start going down this road that you just do not want to go down. And here's what I hear a lot of times too. It's like, well, I'll just deal with that when that happens. Well, be that guy that it's happened to. That is the shittiest way to think, because when that happens to you, I'm going to swear right now, because this is how I'm passionate to be. You're fucked. Hear me out. It's that bad. It goes bad for you. Because when you're doing it wrong, they're coming for you. And the only leniency is that they will give you a break a little bit because you didn't know the law. The second time you get it, you're double fucked, because you now know you did it wrong, and then they come at you hard, fines and everything else. But I'm talking to most of you doing it the first time wrong, and then when you hopefully never get caught, because you're going to listen to what I'm saying here, and it's a painful thing. You have got to change your business to be correct, because I know how it feels when you know it's wrong, and there's something out there to tell you what. That's what I want to be here for you. I want to be able to give you the sources. I want to be able to give you the knowledge of where to find your information to change your company to be correct. When you get to where when you are making over $500 million, $500 million. If I'm talking to $500 million people, wow, has this podcast gotten good? 500,000. If you're doing $500,000 a year, you're on the radar. If you're under that, they don't really care. Not to say that they don't, but they slap you on the wrist and tell you to do stuff right, but you don't really get a whole lot of fines and stuff. At least that's what I've been told. I haven't been to $500,000 company since my second year. So it's been 24 years since I fell into the category of, you better get it right, son, or you're going to be in trouble. Well, I went about, 20 years doing it wrong. And I did have a suit, and it did ruin my world for about 4.5 to 5 months. And now we became out a better company out of it. But let me tell you what I was paying wrong. I can't divulge what happened in my suit, but I can say you this. I wasn't paying people correctly. And what was I doing? I was paying them for their benefit. I was overpaying them a salary and not paying overtime. Well, guess what? There's a category of your employees. You must categorize them. Are they W-2 hourly employees, or are they outside exempt salespeople? And I'm sorry, there's a third. Or are they truly management? Now, I'm going to read from the FLSA document on outside sales exempt to make you understand what this is. You can go to the DOL and find, it's actually go to dol.gov/sites/DOL.gov/file. I gotta believe there's more than that, but that's what this thing says it is. But I have it on my phone. I carry it around with me everywhere. Okay. Fact sheet number 17F, semicolon. Exempt for outside sales employees under the Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA. You're governed by two things, the FLSA Act and the DOL. The DOL enforces it. The FLSA is kind of the doctrine that they go by and stuff, and they are a little bit squirrely on some of this stuff. So knowing more facts and how you should be paying people is important. So let me read to you. Fact sheet, this and that. FLSA requires that most employees in the United States be paid at least the federal minimum wage for all hours worked and overtime pay at not less than time and 1/2 the regular rate of pay for all hours worked for over 40 hours in a work week. All right. However, this is the next sentence. Of the FLSA provides an exemption for both minimum wage and overtime pay for employees employed as bona fide executives, administrative, professional, and outside sales employees. Also exempt certain computer employees. To qualify for exemption, employees generally must meet certain tests regarding their job duties, hence why you should have job descriptions, and be paid on a salary basis at not less than $684 per week. Did you know that? Job titles do not determine exempt status, though. In order for an exemption to apply, an employee's specific job duties and salary must meet the requirements of the department's regulations. So here we go. Outside sales exemption to qualify. The following tests must be: the employee's primary duty must be making sales or obtaining orders or contracts of services for the use of facilities for which a consideration will be paid by the client or customer. Second, the employee must be customarily and regularly engaged away, big word, away from the employee's place of business. So let's break that down. What does that mean? If you read it as I say this and as I read it, so if you have a phone salesperson, they don't qualify. If they're working in your facility, if they're working at your office, okay? They must be a salesperson, not an order taker. And then they must be away. So let's go primary duty. Primary duty of an outside salesperson means the principal, main, major, or most important duty that employees perform. Determination of an employee's primary duty must be based on all the facts in a particular case, with the major emphasis on the character of the employee's job as a whole. Making sales. Sales includes any sale, exchange, contract to sell, consignment for sale, shipment of sale, or other disposition. It includes the transfer of a tangible property and in certain cases of tangible and valuable evidences of intangible property. La 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 la. So what are we saying here? What we're saying here is if they are an outside salesperson, hence in my business, educators going out and inspect, and they're selling as major part of their business, that they are outside exempt. They do not have to track their hours, and I will not pay them overtime. That is why I have my separation, other than the better business practice of sales versus employees. Workers, techs. So, away from the business place, promotion work, drivers who sell, it's on here, so it's not here. So anyway, what I'm trying to get at here is a lot of people will put someone on salary and think that salary is the that salary doesn't, if you put them on salary, I don't have to pay them overtime. Well, that's wrong. That is not true. So here's travel time. There's a big one for travel time, which I'm not going to at this point get into what travel time is in the DOL. I know a lot of people want to know about travel time. It was actually on Chimney World a couple of weeks ago about travel time, because of going to the expo and a lot of traveling that people are doing. But what I want you to understand is what are the laws and stuff about management as well, and what is a manager qualified to do? Because you're not just going to label someone a manager, So I'm going to Google this here. I thought I had this up. I thought I had this in my thing. I don't. FLA manager description. All right. So I'll go to the DOL. Correctly classifying managers and assistant managers. To qualify for an exemption to be a manager or an assistant manager, hence, the employee must be compensated on a salary basis of at least $684 a week. The employee's primary, principal, and most important duty must be management of customary recognized department or subdivision. The employee must be customary and regularly direct the work of at least 2 or more full-time employees or their equivalent. And the employee must have the authority, hear this out now, to hire or fire other employees. Or the employee's recommendations must be given particular weight. So, what does that mean? That means if you're just going to label someone a manager and they really only have one guy with them, they're not a manager. It says 2 or more. And if you're giving him, does he have the ability to fire him And if he doesn't, he's not a manager. So what does this mean to your business? I don't know. I know this. I used to pay everybody a salary and didn't pay them overtime. Luckily, we had it down to where we didn't really work a lot of overtime. So when I had my issues, it didn't cost me a ton of money from the actual suit, but what cost me a lot of money was bad lawyer advice. So let's talk about what to hire if you do get served. What do you do when you get served? I will give you the example of what not to do. Do not fire the person serving or suing you if they are currently employed. Whistleblower law, they're protected under federal law to not fire them. Do not fire them. Not a good thing to do. Okay? And so when you get served from an employment law thing, the first thing you do is shut the hell up and start processing of what this is. And the very first thing you do after you process for 5 to 10 minutes is find an Actival Attorney, meaning find the correct label attorney that is for the field of what you're being sued for. So obviously, if you're being sued because you did a crappy job on something and the guy's suing you for that, you're not going to go call an employment lawyer. You're going to go call a bird dog, mean ass bully lawyer that's going to fight for you to win your case. Employment law is not like that. They have a lot of goofy rules, and these lawyers are really on it to really make your world hard. And you got to know how they play that game of employment law. So if you get into an employment lawsuit, go find the best employment lawyer in your state, at least locally, or it may not even be locally, but close enough that will represent you. I don't care if they're $500 an hour. If you go hire a $250 an hour employee lawyer, they are too green. Go find someone that knows employment law and will know what the tactics are coming at you from the other attorney and da. It is so important to have that person representing you that is really high up in that field. Even though it may cost you more to have this person serve you, the next thing or this what's the word I'm trying to say, that can represent you, that's the way you got to do. If you need to pay $500 an hour for the guy that can beat the $250 lawyer suing you, then that's what you do. It's better to pay a lawyer more money than pay out later. So I strongly suggest if when you get served, if you don't pay a lot of money to your attorney, you're losing money. And so that's a tough lesson to learn. And I have learned that. So my bird dog, awesome golf buddy, business attorney, he is phenomenal in helping me settle or fix, which I don't get a lot of lawsuits. I'm just saying. All the ones I've ever had were dumb. I mean, less than 10, if not $5,000 stuff that, blah, blah, blah. But the employment law is different. You're not going to get away from it. You're not going to get a $10,000 employment law. I mean, they're generally coming after you at some type of categorization of a class action. They're going to try to get all your employees on you, and the state might get involved. The DOL might get involved. They're going to report you that you're doing something wrong, and it's going to be a heavy case. I don't care if you have 10 employees or if you have 100. It's going to be a big load on you. And so that's why it's so important to get it right. So what is it? So how do you pay employees then? If you're going to pay someone a salary and they're not a manager, but they're just a great employee and you're going to decide to do that, my recommendation is to check all your laws, but I would pay them, and I don't think this is wrong in any state, and if I am, this is what I would do. I would first find out, but if this is the case, if you decide to pay someone salary, you must still track their hours and still pay them overtime. Okay? Now, you have some states that mandatory lunches. What does that mean? That doesn't mean they clock in and out for lunches. That means you got to give them an hour off for lunch and they got to clock out. If you don't, you're in trouble with California and other states, a couple other states. So this is why it's so important for you to know your state's laws. I mean, federally, you can look it up. I looked it up yesterday. Federally, it doesn't care about if you give anybody lunch, nor do you have to give them off, but your state might. So you really got to get into the legality of what is going on in your state on how to employ people. And if you're doing over $500,000, it just takes one guy that gets pissed off at your company, quits you, and just goes and finds a lawyer. And if you don't think it's a big deal, I'll tell you, it was such a big deal for me. I almost had, I would say I was categorized in a nervous breakdown halfway through. I was depressed. I had actually, it was cool. I actually, back when I was a lot heavier, I had lost some weight, which is good, but the way I was doing it wasn't. I felt like I was losing my business. The culture of my business, for about 3 months, was everybody was on this, are we going to make it? What's going on? Everyone was always asking. And, so it's not good. It's really a bomb. And it's a bomb that everyone's dodging if you know you're not doing it right. Here's the thing. Ask yourself this. If you know you're not paying people right and you just keep telling yourself, well, I will just deal with it when that happens. When that happens to you, that is not a bomb. That is a nuclear bomb because you knew you could have fixed it. Your employees are not going to quit on you because you go legal. You think they are. Well, I pay, especially a lot of you are overpaying everybody. Well, welcome to business. You got to pay them right. You got to do it. And so I'm sorry, you're going to have to start matching them and stop this sub bullshit and start paying them on salary. And you're going to have to match, some of their pay, and they're just going to make less money because you're now legal and you're doing it right. You just got to do it. And that is when you do it, believe it or not, there is a little weight that comes off you, and everybody gets it. That's the thing. Everyone's all scared about it. No, everybody's like, okay, finally. Now you're paying half their taxes. They're getting their taxes taken out. Tax time is fun for them. They like it. They get a refund. They don't have to owe in. And then if you're just paying people wrong because you just didn't know, well, I'm here to tell you, you know now. Find out what your state says you need to do and do it. And then you look at your employees and you go, this is what we're doing because I have to do it. It's the law. And so it's kind of like OSHA when you're doing it like we did the Jim Brewer training and all that stuff. And we look at our people and we go, it's the law. You're going to do it. And yeah, we have Jim Brewer coming back to retrain some guys because they're not comfortable. So we paid for that. It's the right thing to do. I got him coming back for 3 days. I got him coming back for 3 days longer than he was initially here. Because I want him right. I want the guys safe. I want the guys OSHA compliant. I want to be right. I want to be correct. I don't care what it costs my company. I'll figure it out and I'll make more money somehow. Right now, we're on a training mission this year to get us correct in every aspect we can. And if sales suffers, sales suffers. But I know this, eventually the sales will skyrocket. Now, I don't have a weight on my shoulder. You know how long I went? I went 25 and a half years worried that someone would fall off roof and die. And I've had 3 people fall off of a roof. None of them died. Thank God. It's the same thing with your payroll. You know you're doing it wrong. You know you are. And shame on you for letting it keep going. And I was that shame on you. And I'm with you. Shame on me. Because the easy path is to keep going because you're making money. But I'm just going to call you out. You feel like a slime bag. You feel like a douchebag. Because you know you're doing it wrong. So slap yourself right now and make it right. No matter how painful it is, get off your fucking lazy ass and get it right. Make it right. Because it's the right thing to do for your business. It's the right thing to do for your employees. And if you lose a couple employees, so what? Even as hard as it is to hire people right now, it is what it is. You don't need the baggage. If they're quitting because you're taking taxes out, who gives a shit? Get it right. Now, if there's a flip side to this. I'm coaching another gentleman now who has a very, very almost legal sub business where his guys are subs. And they're almost, we were considering making him legal with W-2s. And then one day or during a session, like his second session, I was like, wait a minute. That's going to be not just a hard reality for them. That's like switching it big time. So we came up with let's go the other way. Let's make these guys true subs. That's a different path you can take, but it's a lot harder because they're watching for true subs and making sure that they're really true subs. And I know Biden just did some crazy law, or maybe I don't know, that they're really coming down on categories of subs, but if you can make it right and make them true subs, and I'm not going to go into the legality of all that, but we are in the middle of looking at that. But it's not the point. Point is, you want to be legal. You want to pay your people legal. You want to be legal. You want to go to bed at night with a clear conscience. You're a better person for that. You're a better leader for that. When you feel rotten, even just a little bit, because it's rotten, it's like telling a white lie every day. It just is. And every day that white lie just builds. And eventually someday you're going to get big enough and you go, this has got to change. This lie is not a white lie anymore. It is a monster lie. And you've been lying to yourself. So forget about the employees. You're lying to yourself because you think it's the easy way to go to pay them the way I'm paying them now because I always did it for them. Well, guess what? There's a right way to do it. And even if it is this new learning curve, this new going to cost your business 7 to 10% now, hey, raise your prices. I don't care. Do whatever you do to combat it. Get everybody on board. Maybe even give them a raise to do it, but then you got to make sure you raise your prices. There are ways to do it, and I will tell you when I did it. So here's the good news. All doom and gloom. That's all over. Here's the good news, guys and gals. It is easy to do it. You just do it. And guess what? You don't make less money. It feels like you will, because on paper it looks like you will. But you're business owners, and what do you do as business owners? You adapt and overcome. Right? All you business owners out there, even if you weren't in the military, you adapt, you overcome, and you move on. And you be a better guy. You be a better girl. You be a better company. So I know you're listening to me, and yeah, I'm a little colorful at times. And yeah, I threw out some cuss words to say, wow, got pretty heated there for me for a minute there. But it's true. You have got to come out of your shell and do it right. Because if you have the ambitions to grow your business, it's so much easier to do it when you're small and get it right as you grow and scale than it will be when you have 38 employees like I do and had to switch from a good model for the employees, not so much good model for me, but it was illegal. So, wow. Don't be like Chad and have to do it when you have 38 employees. Now, we did raise our prices and we made everything right, and I didn't even skip a beat. So I'm telling you, it's okay. Now, if you end up getting into a lawsuit, I'm going to tell you right now, calm down. First thing you do is just calm down. Call your attorney. You'll get through it. If you want to call me. I'll talk to you about my experience off the books, and I'll tell you, how it went, all that kind of stuff, and I'll help you through it, whatever. That's not a paid thing. I'll do that for free. If I don't know you, call me. If you get into a legal situation, I'm just your cheerleader, and I'll tell you my experiences. I'm not going to give you legal advice, but I'll give you advice on to find the right lawyers and stuff like that. So, and help you, mentally get through it. And I'll let you talk to me. If you're in a lawsuit, call me. Free coaching all the way through your lawsuit. I won't charge you a dime. We'll set up an hour every month, every week, every other week, whatever you want, and we will talk. You can talk to me. You can cry on my shoulders. I don't care. Just give me a call because you're going to need it. It's going to be rough. So that's about all the time I'm going to have today. It's a short podcast today. I didn't get to record on Monday because I was coming back from the expo last week, and I'm gonna put it out there here in the next hour or so. I'll get it out. Well, I guess this doesn't matter. So anyway, so I'll just summarize real quick for you guys and girls. Get that big elephant off your back and find out what your laws are. Make the change to whatever you need to do legally so that you never have to worry about it, of paying people wrong. And I will tell you, just because some better company, or not better, bigger company than you did it one way does not make it right. I have found, I know of a $15 million company, not in the chimney business, in another business, that was paying everybody wrong for 40 years. And I opened their eyes to paying them right, and they fixed it. Now, they weren't a client of mine. They were actually someone I knew. And when I had my lawsuit, I went and told them what I was doing. They had a similar deal, and they switched it. It was good. Luckily, they never had any issues. But just be right. Be legal. Do the right thing, and you know it for you, do it. So that's enough for today at Outside the Business Box. If you want to go to Chat with Chad in the Chimney World, please come on there on Wednesday nights. Go ahead. Surefire Lives on Tuesday nights on Chimney World. And if you don't have any inspection software, Bare Hands Pro, Mike Fazy owns that. Go to barehandspro.com, take a look at that, and go from there. So everybody, I love being a voice for you, and hopefully you learned something from me. And have a great week until you hear me again. Signing off.